Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. I am your host, Dr. Harbir Sian. And before I go any further, I just want to apologize right off the bat. Yes, this is my voice right now. So I'm sorry. Bear with me. Today's episode is a shorter one, so you won't have to put up with too much of it. But this is my voice right now. So apologies in advance, and thank you for putting up with it. As always, big thanks for all the support up until now, all the listening and sharing and liking and reviewing and everything that you've done that's helped the podcast to grow. I am eternally grateful. Honestly, can't thank you enough. So thank you for sticking with me, especially with this super raspy, not nearly sexy voice that I got going on today. And as always, I have a big favor to ask. If you do get some value, please do share it. Like, share, subscribe, send to a friend, put it on LinkedIn, put on Instagram, let people know what we're talking about, let people know what you took, what value you took out of this episode or any other episode prior to this. And once again, thank you so much for doing that. So this week's episode is going to be an Eye2Eye episode. And if you have been following along with the podcast, then you know Eye2Eye episodes are generally shorter, thank goodness, given this voice. But they're one-on-one. It's just me, no guest on this episode, just me sharing some thoughts, sharing some feelings, sharing some lessons about various things throughout life that I found beneficial and have resonated with me. And I hope that somehow might be beneficial for you. Even if you take one little small nugget out of what I share with you today, I'd find it worth my time. And hopefully you're worth your time for tuning in for the next 10 to 15 minutes, however long this takes me. So for this Eye2Eye episode of the 2020 podcast, I want to share with you the biggest lesson I have learned from Stranger Things. Yes, Stranger Things, the huge viral success Netflix show. And before I lose you, I promise you, you don't have to be a Stranger Things fan to understand the lesson I'm about to share. Okay, what I learned from Stranger Things is not about the Upside Down or Dungeons and Dragons, not directly anyway. But the lesson that I have learned from Stranger Things is more about the importance of putting in the time and putting in the work and understanding that your timing, my timing, is not the same as the universe's timing. And that after you've put in the work, there could be a short period of time, or there could be what seems like an eternity until you see the reward that you were seeking. Now, how, you might ask, did I learn this lesson from a group of middle-aged dorky kids fighting some paranormal being from another dimension? Well, the answer to that question is Kate Bush. So it's not Will or Lucas or Mike or Elle, even for that matter. It's Kate Bush and maybe Max. If you do watch the show, Max might be the other vessel, to take another term from the show, that might have brought this lesson to me. So who's Kate Bush? Okay, Kate Bush, if you're not familiar, and I wouldn't be surprised if you were not familiar, I certainly wasn't, and I know I'm older than some of our listeners here. Kate Bush was a fairly successful pop star back in the 80s. And Stranger Things in season 4 used one of her very popular songs that was popular in the 80s. They used that, Running Up That Hill. They used that song in season 4 and in season 5. I don't want to spoil the storyline for those of you who do plan to watch it and haven't watched it yet, but they used that song and they used it a lot and they used it very prominently. And after they used it, that song became a mega global hit. Almost 40 years after it was released, officially released by Kate Bush. So given the massive success of the show, I was interested to see how did the song actually do and how did Kate Bush benefit from this, if at all? Did she benefit? Did she get some royalties? Was it impactful to her in any way? And the short answer is yes. Very, very, very much yes. Although Stranger Things had to have approached Kate Bush before they used the song to get her approval and licensing rights and all that kind of stuff, Kate Bush herself said after it was used in the show, not only that she was very happy with how it was used, but she herself was shocked and in disbelief at how huge of a success it was for her and for her song and for the album. So as I went kind of digging, the reason actually I went digging was I after watching the show, the song was stuck in my head. So you know what you got to do if a song is stuck in your head? You have to listen to it. You got to play it a few times to get it out of your own head. So I went looking for it on Spotify and I found it and I played it and I clicked play and then I did a double take and I looked back and I saw that that song had over 1 billion streams, 1 billion with a B, 1.3 billion at that time. And I'm sure it's higher now, streams on Spotify. I also noticed that other songs of hers had hundreds of millions of streams on Spotify as well. And while I can't exactly prove it, I'm pretty sure that Kate Bush did not have anywhere near 1 billion streams before the year 2022 when her song was used on Stranger Things. So naturally, I started doing some digging and I started to investigate on how this song has done for Kate Bush. And there are some pretty astounding numbers. She already, as I said, was pretty popular back in the 80s. So just like, you know, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s or 2000s, you often will go back and listen to music from the era when you were in high school or whatever age you were at, impactful music, influential music of the time. And so those songs are always being listened to and streamed. And so there's always some amount of traction for them. And I was looking at some Billboard stats. If you're not familiar with Billboard, you know, it's one of the biggest sort of catalog or ways to track success of songs and albums and so on. And Billboard, the year that Stranger Things, that season 4 came out where they used that song, was tracking Kate Bush's album sales and catalog, her entire catalog of music. And, you know, an artist that does well in any era, they're still going to get some play, right? If you grew up in the 80s and you listen to Kate Bush or Michael Jackson or Prince or whatever, you're going to probably go back and listen to that music. If you grew up in the 90s and you listen to Backstreet Boys or whatever it was, they're still going to keep getting plays even 20, 30 years down the road because people want to go back and listen to the music of their childhood or their era. So on Billboard, the week before her song was featured on Stranger Things, Kate Bush's entire catalog of music was getting something, whatever unit they use here, 2,000 album consumption units per week, whatever that means, okay, per week. The week after it was used on Stranger Things, it had on Billboard tracked it at over 20,000 album consumption units per week. And the week after, it was even greater, right? Because I guess people were still watching the show. Obviously, I watched the show like this 2-3 years later, season 4, 2-3 years after it was released, and I'm going digging. And they estimated that in that week after it was played on Stranger Things, that those units, that usage, that play in 1 week probably garnered over $150,000 worth of revenue for Kate Bush. And the week after, even more. And after, within a couple of weeks, it was almost $500,000. And going beyond that, just in 2022, there are estimates that that one song garnered over $2 million, if not more, if you go to all the other album sales and all the other streams and downloads because of the offshoot from that one song. Kate Bush has probably made multiple millions of dollars from that one song being featured in that one episode. Now it has again been used after, but just by being used on Stranger Things. Pretty remarkable stuff, if you ask me. What makes this more amazing is that Kate Bush is one of the rare artists that actually owns the rights to most of her own music. So a lot of that revenue is actually just going back to her, straight in her pocket. And again, this is 40 years after she actually released this song, 40 years later. Now, I'm sure Kate Bush was doing just fine. Again, she was fairly popular back in the 80s. And if she was smart with her money and made some good decisions, she's probably sitting pretty as it is. But do you think she could have guessed that out of the blue, somebody was going to approach her with an opportunity that was going to make her more money 40 years later than she probably made, almost certainly made, when she initially released that song and put in the effort to make that music? I highly doubt it. So again, the lesson from this is not about Vecna. It's not about the Upside Down. It's not about Dungeons and Dragons. It's about putting in the time. It's about understanding that we might never know how or when we will make the impact that we would like to make. It's about not knowing how or when we will achieve that goal that we've been hoping to achieve all this time. The only thing we do know is that if we don't try, if we don't put out that content, if we don't make that effort, we won't ever achieve that goal, right? It's that old classic Wayne Gretzky quote, we miss 100% of the shots we don't take. Or if you're an Office fan, it's the Michael Scott quote that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take by Wayne Gretzky. So all of that is to say, this whole Stranger Things tangent and this Kate Bush dive down the rabbit hole is to say that I want to encourage you to take that shot. I want to encourage you to make the effort, even if you feel like that little thing you're about to do might not make that much difference. Even if you've put in a whole bunch of effort and you're not seeing the result that you were hoping to see yet. There are a lot of examples. Kate Bush is just one recent example, but there are innumerable examples of people who put in effort and waited, or even forgot about the effort that they had put in, and later on reaped the benefits, saw the fruits of their labor at a point when they didn't even expect it. So I want to encourage you to keep doing it. And I want you to, in a kind of an offshoot way here, I want you to own it like Kate Bush did. I want you to own it. And when I say own it, I mean it in different ways. Own your own personality, your own uniqueness, own what you bring to the table. Not only lean into that, but leverage that. You are unique. You are bringing something different. And if you can really lean into that, I think you can create a different space for yourself within the industry. It always seems like there's enough of these people doing this thing, enough of these people putting out that content. But if you do it your way, you'll be able to create a whole new path for yourself. And who knows how many people behind you. But also own it in the sense of the way Kate Bush owned it. Own the rights. Charge what you need to charge. Don't do it for free. There's a line from Batman, one of the Batman movies, where Joker says, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. And I think that's really important. And it's not to gouge people. It's not to just do it just for the money, but it's to make sure that, I mentioned this in the first episode of the year. It's to make sure that you feel good about what you're doing, and that way you are always putting in 100% effort. If you're not charging, or if you're not charging enough of what you feel like you're worth, you're never going to put in that 100% effort. So you'll get that amazing result at the other end. So make sure you own it and you earn it. So I hope you enjoyed this Eye2Eye episode of the 2020 podcast, what I learned from Stranger Things. And listen, if you're not a Stranger Things fan, I still think there's a lot to learn from here. If you are a Stranger Things fan, hopefully you've enjoyed the show, and hopefully I didn't give away any secrets if you haven't made it to season 4 yet. Thank you guys for always putting up with me here on these Eye2Eye episodes, and hopefully you took something away from this, and in particular for putting up with my raspy voice today. Thank you as always for tuning into the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. See you guys in the next episode.